Hello, friends, and welcome to Rua Space, where we help you make space for the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit in your everyday life. I'm Phil, and today I want to invite you into a practice, a guided practice, if you will, related to the changing seasons. I guess it depends on where you live, but for me here in Illinois, the weather outside is changing to be colder. The leaves are changing, the smells are changing, the animals are changing. As we go into fall and winter, there's just change all around us. And so I think that this can be a helpful time, an invitation even from God built into creation, that as things change and we experience, see, and feel this change, we're invited to listen for what God is saying. Now, for those of you who've been with Rua Space for a while, you know that we love Lectio Divina, which is divine reading, this practice we do with the Bible where we read a verse multiple times and we listen for a word or phrase that might be standing out to us. It might be a feeling we have or a thought in our mind, whatever it might be, something that jumps out to us. And then we consider why that might be the word or phrase standing out, what God might be saying, how we might be challenged or encouraged in it, and sort of commit to that change, what it means to our lives. And I think we're invited to do the same thing with the creation. Some have called this Lectio Tierra, and I can think of no better time to do this than a time when the seasons are changing. Now, I suppose you could do it anytime. Anytime's a great time to be listening for God, right? But during this time of change, there's a special few weeks or a few months where we're really invited to pay attention to this change specifically. And Jesus does this all the time with creation. We see him saying things such as, look at the birds of the air, look at the lilies of the field, or he looks at and interacts with fig trees and a barren fig tree, and he frequently uses teachings around planting and harvesting. So Jesus all the time is looking at creation and listening for what it's teaching. He then makes conclusions about God and what God is saying from his observation around the creation. You know, for me, just simply walking outside, I found leaves. Some of them are red and have fallen onto the ground and, are getting wet or trampled on or taking new shape as they just sit in the grass. And some of them are green. Some are green and have fallen, some are still attached to the tree, but there's all this amazing difference. And so those colors drew my eye, the colors within the differences. But I also know sometimes neighbors will be burning leaves, or you'll see squirrels, or you'll hear certain sounds, or you'll feel certain things, or an absence of sound or an absence of certain animals. There are different fruit or different plants that are actually sprouting all of a sudden. I saw flowers coming up the other day that I hadn't seen in months. And so the creation is bursting forth with speech. And I think we are invited to listen to it. And these seasons that we're experiencing are built in to this creation. God says in Genesis 8, verse 22, as long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease. And in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, it says, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the sun. So my invitation for this practice is going to be a Lectio Divina or a Lectio Tierra with our seasons, with whatever's going on outside. Maybe you live in a place where there's not many changes yet. Even that can be an invitation to go and see. So step one would be to go outside and spend a few minutes just looking and paying attention to what do you feel. Just like when you might do Lectio Divina with us, what stands out to you? Not trying to force it, not trying to necessarily pick something, although you certainly could pick something, but saying, what jumps out to you? Is there a smell that jumps out to you? Is there a feeling on your skin? Is there something that you see? What are you experiencing? So just to listen. And then to sort of meditate on that thing, on that feeling, on that smell, on the sight. What might God be saying about it? Is it something about change, something about color, something about life or death or growth or cycle? Whatever it might be, the cycles of the seasons. There's so many opportunities just to listen to what might God then be communicating with that thing that stands out. And maybe it's not even directly about you at first. It's just about something more in general. This is very open-ended. We're just listening for what God might be saying and how the creation is praising God in some way or saying something about God or about life. And then I do invite you to then come to a place where you can sit and relax. Maybe it's the same place where you've been reflecting on the creation, where you've been looking. Maybe you're out for a walk, or maybe you want to come back inside. And what I would invite you to do is find a place where you can spend a few minutes just in silence, where you can pause. Maybe it'd be helpful to bring that thing inside that you were looking at. Maybe you can sketch it or doodle it or journal about it or take a picture of it and then look at that picture. But some way that you can now meditate on what you heard in light of your own life. Maybe you're going through a season of change. Maybe things haven't changed in a long time and you're feeling antsy or you're feeling bored or you feel like something new is coming. What season are you in your life? Does it match the season outside or is it different? And what might the current season outside have to say about the season you're going through? And this is a time to pray for guidance, for blessing, for challenge, to be encouraged. Because friends, we really are always changing, even if we don't realize it. We're always having experiences and feelings. And so what we then want to do is reflect on our own experience, our own seasons, our own life in light of that thing that we might have seen outside. So maybe you're seeing the parallels with Lectio Divina, but instead of having a Bible text where something jumps out to us and then we apply it to our life, we're using the text of creation. Just like the Bible is God's revelation to us in word, the creation is God's revelation to us in imagination, in beauty, in creation, in change. And we then want to listen to that and apply it to our lives. And so the question we have to ask is not whether or not God is moving or whether or not the Spirit is moving or God has something to say to us. The question, as usual, is are we listening? Are we aware of it? Like the wind blowing, the Holy Spirit is referred to as a wind sometimes, and the wind continues to blow and we want to feel for that direction and maybe notice the invitation that is present there. So how are we invited to hear? What are we invited to see? And how are we invited to join in? And friends, what I encourage you to do is maybe set a phone alarm if you need it so that you don't have to pay attention to the time, or maybe you have an open-ended time that you can just sit with this. But do go outside, look for something that jumps out to you. Listen to for what it might be saying, for what it might be teaching, for some truth or insight that it's giving. And then I invite you to find a place where you can reflect in light of what you've seen or heard or felt in light of your own life, and then rest in gratitude and ask God what you're being invited into to go forward. And you can use many mediums for this. Maybe it's pictures, maybe it's just feeling and holding something like I've got leaves here. Maybe it's doodling, maybe it's drawing. The opportunities are endless. So friends, I invite you into this seasons of change practice, a Lectio Tierra, if you will, a listening practice with God and creation. This is a prayer, my friends. The whole thing is an invitation to spend a few minutes in God's presence. Say, God, what are you saying to me in the creation, in the changes, and in my own life? And please do drop comments. Let us know whether you're listening on the podcast or you're watching on YouTube. Let us know what jumped out to us. Share if you drew something, if you wrote something, if you journaled something, if you took a picture of something, send it to us. Leave it on Facebook, leave it on our website, on YouTube, wherever. We would love to see that. We would love to experience and hear what you have experienced and engage you further in it. So friends, thank you for joining us today. If you enjoy this practice, please do leave us a review, subscribe, drop us a like, and we will see you next time. Grace and peace be with you.